Hey guys, what are you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic week so far. Yeah, so based on feedback from the community, I decided to, I put up a question asking, would you like me to do a video on salary negotiation? And a lot of you said yes. So I'm just going to dive into it and break it up into phases, starting with negotiating salary even before you get interviewing with companies, especially if you are working with recruiters or you're in the company and you're in like your first or second interview. So I'm going to break this into three main points just to keep it simple. Okay? Right. So point one is research what your position pays for by your location. Now when I say by your location, I mean be more specific. Let's say for example you live in Toronto, just an example. So research what your position pays for, not in Canada, but actually in Toronto, right? Because what you see people do, honestly, is that they research for their position pays for by their country. So they take the national average. But you have to understand that cost of living varies from, in this case, Canada, province to province. So you have to watch that. You don't want a case whereby you undercut yourself right out the gate. So you have awesome sites like Glassdoor, whereby you just need to do the usual, create an email, and have a password, or sign in with your email. You don't even need a password just to get more detailed information. Or you have PayScale. So those are the two that come to my mind right now. Glassdoor, PayScale, I'm sure there are others. So just research and get a hold of that income. That gives you a baseline of which to start to determine where to go from there. Now that's point one. Point two is determine your happy number. Now, what do I mean by happy number? Your happy number is your barest minimum number, the minimum number you need in order to be happy in terms of covering expenses, and other stuff, entertainment, travel, investment, savings, at least at a good level. So let's just say your happy number is 50. That is your happy number. Now understand, for this to work out well for you, this happy number is only for you. Should never be revealed to anybody else. As a matter of fact, I go as far as saying, and this is coming with some practical experience, make sure when you're negotiating, make sure you have a buffer between your happy number. So if your happy number is 50k, make sure that the minimum you are going for is like 55. So that if worst case scenario, and some companies do this whereby they're like, oh, we can't pay you 55, we might pay you like 53, and some additional perks, you get flex time or more vacation days, you are good. But know your happy number. Very, very important. Okay? So that way you can begin to negotiate with that. Now, point three is extract the information, extract the salary information, the salary expectations from the recruiter or the HR company. I said the HR company or the HR of the company that you're applying with, and try to make this be like the first or second interview. I hear a lot of people say, oh, don't get to the salary information until probably towards the end. So if they say you're going to have 5 interviews, don't really get into it by the 4th interview. Honestly, I'm not an advocate for that. I don't believe in that. I believe your time is valuable. Let's not waste time, right? So if, for instance, you are speaking with a recruiter, this is how I'll go with it. If I'm on the phone with a recruiter and it's like, oh, let me just interview to see if you are qualified. I'll get on the phone, we are talking, and it's like, oh, Damola, you're a very good candidate for this role. I'll put your resume forward for consideration, and the company will get back to you. What I'll now ask him is, what is the budget for this role? Okay? And sometimes the recruiter gives you, the budget is 60 to 65k. But then the recruiter will be like, oh, you don't really need to know that. You know that once you get into the process. And at this point, I go with this statement, which you can use or reframe. Thank you very much, John. I know I have value, and that is part of the reason why you're selecting me for this. In order not to waste my time or waste your time, I would like to know what the budget or salary expectations for this role is. That way I can determine if it is within my own range, right? So once you say that, most times most recruiters understand that you don't want to go into the interview process guessing about it, and honestly, seriously, who wants to waste their time, right? So they will most likely give you a response. So if it gives you 60 to 65k, perfect, that is above your happy number of 50k with an healthy margin, right? But if you say no, the range is 45 to 55k, there is a problem there, because you have to understand that your salary is an expense to the company. I repeat, your salary is an expense to the company. It is income for you, is an expense for them. And when you have such an expense as salary that has to come out month after month, you have a case whereby you want to minimize what you have to pay. It just makes business sense. The extra money can be put into other things, right? So if they say the range is 55 to 65, best believe that most times most companies will start negotiating with you at the 45 to 55. Most companies will start negotiating with you at the 45 range. Please do not play the optimist that, but Damola, 55 is higher than my 50k range. Please, let's not do that. Just go in being realistic that a lot of companies will start negotiating with you at the 45k range, and that is below your happy number. And at that point, once he says that, you're like, oh, okay, that does not fall into my range. Thank you, John, so much for your time. I hope we can work together in the future, and you move on. And this can even be done with the HR of the company. You do not need to be scared. Always understand you are interviewing the company as much as they are interviewing you. You are determining they are a fit for your career path as much as they are determining that you are a fit for their company. It's a two-way street. Like I always say, an interview is a conversation, right? So ensure you do that. And the advantage of this is that, look at this, you just had one interview, one call, and you didn't waste time. Imagine if you had done like 4 or 5 interviews over the span of a month, because most interview process take anywhere from 2 weeks to like 6 weeks, and you get to the final interview and they're like, oh, you're awesome, by the way, the pay is 45k and your happy number is 50. Makes no sense, right? So I hope with those 3 points, just to recap, determine what your average salary is for your role in your particular city. Be very city specific. Know what your happy number is. And the third is extract the information early, the salary expectation early from the recruiter or HR. I hope with these 3 points, you can begin to get a sense of how you can start the interview process from that perspective, the salary perspective, on a strong point. With that, like, comment, subscribe. It's an interactive session. I enjoy when you guys, add some insights in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Okay, cheers.